Today I'm on the River Trent at Burton Joyce. This is a fantastic stretch for fishing for dace and roach, and that's what I've come here to do today. To target these fish using whips. Fishing with a long pole and breaking down can be very good for collecting small fish, but I can tell you a whip is much quicker, because once you're swinging the fish to hand, you're not having to take sections off, you're not shipping a long pole back, you're swinging everything to hand. It's much quicker, so you can catch fish very fast. Today I've chosen to fish with an 8-metre whip just to get out into the flow. The river today is very low and the flow is out from the bank, so 8 metres allowed me to get into the flow where the river was pushing a little. Of course, when you're fishing with a whip, you need to get bites constantly, and also bites pretty quickly at the top of the swim, because once you have to travel down the swim, then it's difficult because you're running away from where the fish should really be to catch well on a whip. So you want to be getting regular bites to catch consistently. And that's what's happened today. I've been able to loose feed. I started off ground baiting. I've chucked in an amount of ground bait at the start, maybe 12 or 15 balls of ground bait. And then what I've done, I've loose fed over the top. When you're catching roach and dace like I've done today, the rig needs to be quite simple, but the floats also need to be quite light. Because I've been loose feeding maggots and fishing up in the water, I started down near the bottom, which was only about 8 or 9 foot deep. But quickly I came up to where the maggots were landing in the water, and fish maybe only about 5 foot. The rig needs to be very simple, and I've just used a 1 gram float, a block of shot and 1 number 9 dropper below. Because once you're fishing for fish like this, you want everything to register very quickly, and it's that dropper shot that registers the bite on the float, be holding the bristle up or the float going under. Because you're fishing for quite small fish, the main line also doesn't want to be too heavy. Either 014 suplex or 015 suplex is quite sufficient for the main line. The hook length, because the water's clear, needs to be also very fine, and I've only fished with a 0.105 suplex fluorocarbon hook length. The hook size also has to be right. You're catching all sorts of sizes of fish, from small dace up to odd decent roach and perch. And the hook size, I've just fished with an 18 amass B560. This is quite a round bend hook, but it's quite strong also. You can swing fish in and you're not going to spring the hook in any shape or manner. The hook bait has just been single maggot most of the time. Occasionally I've tried double maggot, but single maggot, because I wanted to select all sizes of fish and just get a nice rhythm of catching the fish, was the best hook bait today. And I've used red maggots and bronze maggots, as you can probably tell from the hands. When you're fishing with a whip, you're fishing with a flick tip, with a solid carbon top on the pole. And this is what cushions the strike when you strike at the fish. But it's most important not to strike hard. It's literally a lift, because when you think about it, you're fishing onto a solid carbon top and the hook sets very easily. It's not like fishing with elastic. When you're fishing with an elasticated pole, you need to strike reasonably hard to set the hook. With a whip, it's just a case of lifting into the fish. The other thing that's very important is the length of line. When you're fishing to hand like this, you need the fish to come to hand. So the distance that you set the rig up from the bottom of the pole is most important. The rig needs to be set about 18 inch up from the bottom of the pole. And this allows you to easily hook bait, because the rig is not too tight when you're holding the pole, so you can easily bait up. Also, when you swing the fish in, the fish comes to hand, so you catch quickly and also easily. The casting of the float is done by flicking underarm, and it's something that you've got to practice. When you're fishing with a whip as long as 8 metres, which is what I've used mainly today, the cast it's a flick out. You need to use the whip where you bend in the top of the whip and cast in the rig underarm. Once you bend the flick tip, that almost creates a spring where it actually casts the rig out for you. Quite difficult to do, but once you've mastered it, it's quite easy to get the rig into the water. There really is 3 main points to whip fishing. One is getting regular bites. That's when the whip works well. The other is constant feeding to keep the fish right in front of you. And that was the main thing today, is keep that momentum of feed going. The other thing is making sure that the fish comes to hand. Whip fishing is a great way to start fishing. I started my kids off at quite a young age fishing with short whips, 3, 4, 5 metre whips, fishing to hand. And they absolutely loved it because you've no reel, you've nothing that can tangle, and you can swing fish in. Now if it's simple for kids to use, then it's simple for me to use as well when I want to catch big weights of small fish. The road stretch here at Burton Joyce is day ticket. It's £6 a day and it's owned by Ashfield Anglers. This is a great water to come and practice whip fishing, so get yourself down here and you'll catch lots of fish.